Hello, and welcome to our latest episode of What's on the Horizon. I'm Lori Sharonbrock here with Chris Schucker of Digital Horizons. And today I want to talk about sound.
Okay.
I know Sonos makes a really great speaker for like on top of your kitchen counter. We've thought about getting one, but I know that's not all they do, and if that's even a great option. But why do you like working with Sonos?
So I don't know if saying we have a love-hate relationship with
Sure.
them is the best way to put it, but they definitely fill a lot of needs in home audio.
Yeah.
And they bring a lot of people into doing audio in the home that maybe otherwise wouldn't have been aware of it. But from the perspective of somebody who really appreciates really good sound quality, that's in their standalone speakers like you're talking about. That's probably where they falter the most. And not that they sound bad. I'm really particular. So the way that we're able to utilize Sonos that achieves excellent sound quality, but then also achieves a really high level of aesthetics in a room is we don't do their in-room countertop speaker and instead use a product from them that they call either their amp or the port.
Okay.
And the amp is just as it describes, it's a unit that actually has an amplifier built in, and that gets wired to speakers in the home. Now that can be a bookshelf speaker sitting on a countertop or a piece of furniture, or it can be what we like to do, which is what's referred to as an architectural speaker, an in-wall or an in-ceiling or something like that. And then the next step, or the next level, if you will, is to use what they call as the port. Now, the port is a device that is there just to provide the audio signal.
Okay.
And then we pair it with an amplifier. And then the amplifier that we choose is solely based on the needs of the home. Is it a single room of speakers? Is there 15 rooms of speakers? Whatever it might be. And the benefit of doing it that way is you get, and this is how we view as the kind of the best way to do Sonos in terms of performance and aesthetics and everything included, is you end up with a number of ports based on how many different areas of music you want in the home. So take a kitchen and a great room and a patio and the foyer, things like that. Yeah. If you wanted all of those areas to play different music, you would end up with one port per area. And then we provide an amplifier that can amplify that many ports, right?
Sure.
So if you had 6 rooms, you have 6 ports, and then an amplifier with, potentially 12 speaker connections, generally 2 speakers per area.
Okay.
And the reason that is the overall best way to do it is you get what Sonos is really known and really good for, which is their platform of incorporating music services and making it easy to use within, the apps and phones and things like that. And then you get a dedicated music grade, high fidelity amplifier paired with speakers of the same caliber. And it takes some effort and some planning and things like that to make work, but it really is the best case scenario for all things home audio.
And so you said like their goal is, in that platform, does that like go with people's Control 4, or is it a separate app, or what is it about that platform that makes it so good?
So Sonos really did 2 things well that even to this date nobody else has. Especially when it comes to the whole idea of audio and wireless speakers and things like that, is their user interface is fantastic. They've definitely had a few updates that have been misses when it comes to the user interface. Like with everything we deal with software-wise on our phones and things like that.
Yeah.
There's times where it's like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. They do an update and they're like, why did they take this feature out? And how do I do this now? And overall, their user interface is fantastic. And then their syncing capabilities is great. And when you're trying to play music in multiple areas and also potentially mixing the audio solution I just described, where there's, ports or amps and they're remotely located, plus maybe a couple wireless speakers and things like that throughout the house, or just entirely wireless speakers throughout the house, Sonos has the programming and the coding that is amazing at syncing all of those areas up when
Sure.
you do like a party mode and you want them all to play at the same time. So that's what they've done really well. And that's what's great about
Sure.
Sonos. Sonos as a system, and largely when we install Sonos, this is how we're doing it.
Okay.
Sonos, it can exist on its own and usually exists on its own. It can be incorporated into automation systems
Oh, okay.
like Control4,
Sure.
Crestron, RTI, things
Sure.
like that, companies we work with. But in those scenarios, if we're doing Crestron, Control4, that type of thing, we'll more than likely just use their services because when we have those platforms, the way they integrate their own music services and their way of
Sure.
accessing streaming stuff, there's just better integration capabilities.
Sure.
For whatever reason, Sonos, to bring back the love-hate terminology, looking at us as integrators, as a business, and as a role and what we do, Sonos love selling stuff to us that we can facilitate for our consumers, but they do a lot of things that make our job difficult. And one of those things that makes our job difficult is they don't open up all of the features of their platform to tie into Control4 and things like that. And so what you can do with their app isn't what you can do with Sonos through Control4. Now we're kind of getting a little deep, and it's kind of hard to describe in a lot of ways, or in our 5 or 10 minutes we have here. But long story short, Sonos is great. We can integrate it with audio automation platforms, but we sometimes choose not to because Sonos limits our ability to do so. Kind of like if you were a chef, for example, and your butcher was like, "Yeah, I'm going to sell you this ribeye, but I don't want you to cook it any more than medium rare." So any customer that walks in the door that wants it rare or well done, that chef would be like, sorry, my butcher says you can't do this. That's kind of ridiculous, right? And that's grossly oversimplifying some of the limitations that Sonos puts on accessing some of the functions of their systems, but it's pretty close. So we use Sonos extensively. It's for everything that we offer. Most of our customers don't get everything that we offer because they don't want it. The budget's not there. It's not practical, whatever. So oftentimes we'll, if we install 20 different services in a home, most homes get 2 or 3 of them, right? And audio is one of the core ones that we install. And often it's just Sonos as a standalone solution. So, and because of how Sonos does things, they allow people to put a little bit or do a lot, and then it kind of gives us the freedom to customize it, because you can do a Sonos system for very little money, or you can make it a hi-fi system and spend thousands of dollars on speakers and amplifiers and have an amazing system. And there's a whole gamut in between there. That's really, really nice. Yeah.
And that was going to be my next question. Like, is there an ideal customer and or situation for where Sonos makes sense a lot of the time, or is it really anybody?
Yeah.
Anybody can do it.
It can be, like in my house, for example, I have a mix of their stuff, right? I have a wireless speaker in my bathroom that I just play music when I'm getting ready in the morning. And then my entertainment system and speakers throughout I have, Sonos as an audio source in there. And it's just, it's really flexible.
That's really great. If you're curious about Sonos or want to learn more about them as a company, we have some links coming down below the video here. And that they're kind of the experts on audio in the home. So if you have any questions, you're able to reach out to them. So thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next episode.